It is hard now to remember what life was like back then. I believed them when they told me that I was alone in the world and that this place and time were invincible. Before that day in September, in April, in December, in May, in November, when this city's veins opened and we lived 100 years of history in one afternoon, the world has changed and we have changed with it. The stories we were told about ourselves and our place in the world no longer seem to make sense, and they have left us to walk these streets as strangers. And so we walk, and we listen to other voices in other places.
Everywhere today, every aspect of our lives is being violently reorganized. Everywhere there is war. A war without a battlefield, a war without an enemy, a war that is everywhere, 1,000 civil wars, a war without end, the Fourth World War.
On the one side is a system of terrifying violence, and on the other side are all of us who will stop this war.
We walked, and in every place the war looked different. In some places it killed with bullets and bombs, and others with hunger and neglect. In some places it worked through global institutions and agencies, and others through local thugs and profiteers. Corporate globalization, neoliberalism, empire. The logic that this violence served was called different things in different places, but everywhere it was the same. It was fragmentation, isolation, fear. It was the rule of money and the market extending itself over every inch of the planet and every aspect of our lives. We walked, and days came that ripped these streets open. Days when the war was not a story they told us. Days when the war was here, under our feet.
This is a new kind of
different kind of
totally different from any other.
This is a conflict without battlefields or beachheads.
This is civilization's fight.
Either you are with us,
an axis of evil,
or you
As
are with
men or
the
children,
entire world. Is
I have
the
determined
battlefield of
that
intelligence.
it is in our vital national interest
and every necessary
to send
weapon
an
will make
additional
no
30,000 U.S.
distinction
troops
among
to
military
Afghanistan.
and civilians.
This crusade is going to take a while.
Cayó la luna, se apaga el farol.
Did you feel it too that day in the streets of Genoa, the hot sun and 200,000 of us? And you took my hand saying, "Welcome home," while we spoke in scraps of English, Spanish, Italian. They ripped you free from the land and history. They built walls around you. They made your life into a lonely compromise and turned you into an accomplice in their violence.
But it is a new world, so let us begin again. Make your home here with us in the street. Tonight, they may take these streets back. They may disperse us again. They may even beat and jail our bodies. But then they will have our bodies. They will not have our obedience.
evil folks still lurk out there.
Our goal is to defend the American people, to eliminate Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, to secure Iraq's oil fields, liberate the Iraqi people.
Liberate the people of Iraq, people whose lives we care about. The day of freedom is drawing near.
And then the Empire spoke again, and it tried to drown our voices in the deafening violence of war. There could have been no clearer statement of global public opinion, and they went to war anyway. We marched together and rallied and campaigned, and everywhere we felt out the edges of this system. The illusions of stability, economic efficiency, and representative democracy were replaced with crisis, war, and terror, with war as terror. We walked, and everywhere we saw the blindness of this system and the violence behind its deafness to our word. We saw that victory, whether military or electoral, is not enough. We fight for something much more difficult. We fight for a new world.
Y'all know why we at war? Anybody on this train know why we at war?
One of the great goals of this nation's war is to restore public confidence in the airline industry. Fly and enjoy America's great destination spots. Get down to Disney World in Florida. Take your families and enjoy life the way we want it to be enjoyed.
They ought to take their kids on vacations. They ought to go to ball games. More people will be going to hotels and restaurants.
And tomorrow when you get back to work hard like you always have.
We are at war, they tell us. You are at war. The war has come home, and nothing will ever be the same again. But what if the war has come home? Where did it come from? When did it start? Who has been fighting it? And most importantly, how can we end this war? They don't have answers. They don't even ask the questions. Instead, they try to normalize this fear, to manage this pain. They tell us to return to work in our tall office buildings, to keep crossing the country in airplanes, to keep shopping. Above all, they tell us not to let this change us.
Wherever our movements won victories, the system's response was war. War that cannot be won. War that they have no intention of ending. War that is irrational, inefficient. War that does not end, that is an end in itself.
They try to break our spirit with arbitrary violence, to occupy our dreams with fear and despair. But we refuse to surrender to their terror. We refuse to surrender. And our refusal is a stone against their tanks.
We walked, and these moments changed us. We saw the buildings burning and the pain in our neighbors' eyes. We rushed bayonets in the mountain and lines of police in the city. We were touched by too much death. We loved and felt alive. We heard the echo of our word in other voices. We watched the moon rise over the barricades, and we were wounded by the courage of small children. This is not the whole story, or the only story.
It is an introduction to some of the people with whom we share this planet.
A much greater story remains to be told.
The story we will write together.
Hermanos y hermanas, es la hora de la dignidad, es la hora de ver y vernos sin vergüenza ni temor, es la hora de luchar. Abran pues su corazón nuestros guerreros, prepara tus pies que te dimos, abre los ojos y el oído atento que somos, vuelve a ser de nosotros la palabra, ya no serás tú, ahora eres nosotros. Así que camina a la tierra del otro, camina y habla, toma ya nuestro rostro, Toma ya nuestra voz, nuestra mirada anda. Hazte oído nuestro para escuchar del otro la palabra. Ya no serás tú, ahora eres nosotros. Baja de la montaña y busca el color de la tierra que en este mundo anda. Ya no serás tú, ahora eres nosotros.